afternoon, everyone. On behalf of NABH, it's my proud privilege to be here today. And I'm immensely thankful, grateful, and full of gratitude towards the team for CAHOCON, 7th CAHOCON, for giving us this opportunity. It's been a wonderful show so far, and I'm sure that after today's showstopper session, where Madam herself is there, and we have legendary Dr. Puri, Dr. Kapoo, Dr. Murali, Gracy Madam, and Dr. Vibhu, we'll try to accommodate questions also in the end. And as Madam very rightly opened the inning with how distressing it is to hear the word NABH, right? It's full of stress, excitement. So there are some smiley balls for you to relieve your stress. You will receive them at your table. Our team is distributing these balls, but just don't throw them at us. The way we have 45 minutes, 2 minutes are already gone. The way we have tried to plan this session is that I'll be showing some data about what probably you know about NABH and probably things which are as yet not known to you about NABH. Very few slides. Then we hear the experts about their take on various perspectives related to accreditation, where we were, where we are, and where we aspire to be. And going forward, we plan to ask them about what makes NABH great, if it does. They are free to voice their concerns or grievances otherwise also. So that's there. And then we'll have questions, and then I'll show you what's my take on what makes NABH great, which I truly believe in. With your permission, sirs and madams, I'll just quickly take you through some data about what exactly is NABH, how we have been attempting to pursue the excellence over the past 18 years. Please remember, we are a teenager. We are not a grandma like JCI or a middle-aged person, 50 years like ACHS. We are just 18. And at 18, you are allowed to have a mind of your own. You are allowed to fall, stumble, get up, and then move on. So I truly believe in that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I give you what exactly is NABH very, very quickly. So we are an accreditation body, National Accreditation Board of Hospitals and Healthcare Providers under the QCI umbrella. Till 19, we could manage accreditation 1755, certification, which is a local enabling platform for hand-holding small and very small hospitals, which is about 3776, and empanelment, which we do on behalf of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Ministry of Defense, and Ministry of Tourism, which is the Medical Value Travel Empanelment Program, in all including 2,700. So these are the broad headings and these are the broad breakups. We started with one program in 2005, and today we are running about 25 programs and counting. So every month we are creating new programs under these broad headings, and we plan to club them together. We plan to make the process simpler. When COVID held us back, when COVID, the unpredicted pandemic hit us, we were caught napping actually. Then we tried to reinvent. We drafted, validated 243 new policies. We tried to use technology, body cams, these team rooms, etc., etc. We got huge support from our leadership, from the QCI leadership, from the board, and we did not defer anything. After the first 2 months, we carried out 4,000 new assessments during the COVID period. Most of these were virtual, which carried on still today, and largely hybrid. The current data as it stands, this is the current snapshot of accreditation, certification, and empanelment. More than 10,080 certifications. We get about 350 certifications every month. And there is business as usual. We do not defer anything unless it's the need of the hospitals. There are 3,465 accreditation under all programs, including Ayush, which is the program of pride for us. And empanelments also are touching 4,000 currently. So we touched today more than 17,500 hospitals in one small way or other, and we truly hope that we'll continue to make this difference. We work very closely with Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, the ABDM, we work very closely with NHA. We yesterday, on 12th, day before yesterday, put in public domain for your comments the NABH digital health standards, which are truly unique and which are, we see the future of privacy, security, interoperability is there. So please do offer your comments. Day before yesterday, we also put in public domain our dental certification standards and dental accreditation standard and entry-level standard and care home standards. So these are newer evolving areas. So please do offer your comments, suggestions, guidance about how we can take them forwards. There are many other new initiatives. We are the active collaborating partner for G20 Healthcare Working Group. Ayush entry-level certification, we have a mandate to assess and certify 12,500 wellness centers by the next year end. We are active partner with NHA, National Commission for Homeopathy. We are doing gap analysis for mostly all AIMS, about 19 AIMS are onboarded, and the medical value travel program. Under that program, the healinindia.org website is being populated by us. So thank you so much for all these opportunities which NABH is being given. We also continue to partner with specialty organizations like Foxy, IIDVL, Digital Oncology, Tata Memorial Hospital, the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, Healthcare Sector Skill Council, Services Export Promotion Council, World Stroke Organization, Smile Train Foundation, which is the world's largest charity, NISG, Social Defense, British Medical Journal, etc. So all these things are also in the pipeline. We have this national call number for a chat bot. So please do try this, say hi on a WhatsApp and let it guide you to a host of facility towards entry-level certification. This has been in operation for 8 months now, and the way forward, we will listen from the expert. There are lots of new standards in the offing and lots of new training programs in the offing. So these are lots of new things which are there, but let's now come straight away to our esteemed panelists who will ultimately tell us where we were, where we are, and where we wish to be, and what makes NABH great. So this few slides, I'll come back in the end again. But before coming to Dr. Pawan Kapoo, sir, you need no introduction, sir. You are one of the founder signatories to the NABH Section 8 company draft. So could you give us a brief historical perspective about what led to the foundation of this body which we are familiar as NABH? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Atul. Am I audible? I
Yes,
think
sir.
I am. Well, what made NABH a better person to answer this question is sitting there, Dr. Girdhar Gyani, because I believe he started the entire process. I really do not know as to how he selected 5 of us to sit together and create an organization called NABH. Till date, he has not answered my question that what made you get through to us and select 5 of us, and out of which 2 of us are present here, Dr. Murali, myself, Dr. Umesh Gupta, who was then a vascular surgeon in Apollo Hospital. Then there was one Dr. Deepak Bandyopadhyay. He was actually ISO consultant who gave us a lot of inputs on engineering and facility management. We had Dr. Bidhan Das and we had Dr. Siddharth Sarpati, both from AIMS. So I don't know what went into his mind, but on one fine day we found all 5 of us together sitting in India Habitat Center, and we were told you are required to make within 3 months a set of standards that can be implemented in India. We asked him whether it is for primary healthcare, secondary healthcare or tertiary healthcare. He said, you make the choice, but primarily it is for secondary and tertiary healthcare organizations. And that is the guideline we got. And we got some documents. And we sat down, there was no leader, there was no chairman, amongst ourselves we decided that since I had less amount of hair on my head, so I gave that, era of wisdom around myself. So I was unanimously selected as the coordinator of the NABH Standard Making Committee, which later on became as the technical committee. That was a very, very, frightening moment for us, because we were told that we had to make standards for the country. We were of course not going to reinvent the wheel, so we went through all standards of other countries, and then there were fights. There were fights what should be included and what should be excluded. Each one of us had our experiences. Each one of us had our own speciality to defend and to practice. And we made one principle which stands till date as the principle on which NABH standards are made, that we will agree, we will disagree, but what we put down in the standards has to be by consensus. If one of us dissents, that objective element of that standard will not find a way into the printed text. And that till date remains the principle on which NABH standards have been made. Once we started, the first set of standards were made, we were all excited about it. Then we said we must have a sensitization program in various cities where these standards will be launched. All these programs were free of cost. There were no delegation fee, no registration fees. The standards were distributed free of cost, and there were sensitization workshops. That was very challenging, because there, in the very first workshop that we did, we were asked, how is accreditation going to contribute to healthcare when it itself entails additional expenditure? So how are you going to make healthcare more affordable by introducing some more systems in place which are going to cost more money, which will be passed on to the clientele? This was the first challenging question that we faced. Till that time, we had no experience of implementing any standard in this country, except a pilot study which we did in one of the private hospitals. We answered these questions. Our friends became foes. Many of you are sitting here. They said, we have enough problems in healthcare. Here comes another problem. So we were identified as the problem makers of probably the healthcare delivery system, or the problem shooters. The worst happened to us in Mumbai. Half the audience walked out of the sensitization program stating that what you state, my diabetic clinic cannot do it. He refused to understand that this standard was for a hospital and not for a clinic. And along with him, I had to, quickly go to the exit room and tell them there is something more coming for you, so don't leave. But we could not sustain that audience for too long. So we had all these challenges, and then we went to a city called Jalandhar. I know what is Jalandhar famous for? Jalandhar is famous for the greatest density of nursing homes present in entire Asia. And they said, these are standards for hospitals. I have got 20 bedded, 25 bedded nursing homes. What about them? And we had no answer. Because we were talking of hospitals which were, probably secondary level, tertiary level. We were not even discussing nursing homes. What are the challenges the nursing homes face? So we came back to the drawing board, and we said, okay, these hospitals are for healthcare, for hospitals which are greater than 50 beds, or which are, super specialty hospitals. We must have something for the nursing homes, and then evolve these smaller healthcare organizations.
Thank you,
While
sir.
we were doing this, Dr. Gyani sprung a surprise on us, and he says, gentlemen, we need to go for ISQA accreditation of our standards. And we said, what is ISQA? We were not aware of what ISQA was at that time. So we became aware of ISQA. We read the principles of ISQA.
Dr. Kapoo sir, we'll come back to that story in a while, but we have to listen to Dr. Murali now.
All right.
For that brief perspective about how each standard.
My only request is don't leak more secrets which people may not be able to swallow. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Dr. Murali, you are a practicing clinician. You have been also part of the journey from day one. Your assessor code is 001. And you also, if you agree, please tell us how each standard till date, there have been 5 accreditation standards under the hospital accreditation program. The 6th one is due in December. So do you agree that each standard is built around a matrix of patient safety and healthcare quality? How is it patient-centric?
Thank you very much. Just one bit of history and then I'll go into the question. Is 27th of June 2005 is the day where NABH was born, where Dr. Pawan said that we all met in the Indian Habitat Center. I think some of us still have preserved that letter. So when we were given this task, I think all of us, the word accreditation itself was a little new in our own dictionary. So we all did a lot of homework. And when we said that, call it, when you look at clinical quality or anything, it's a 2 spectrum. One extent you talk about clinical excellence. That's a positive aspect. High clinical quality, that's a positive aspect. Something good should happen. And the other extent is patient safety. Something bad should not happen. So we all understood that it is a spectrum where from patient safety, where something bad should not happen, you go towards high levels of excellence. So one thing all of us understood, and I think that remains the DNA of the standards till date, is that the patient is at the center. Every standard which you make, question yourself, after that, is the patient going to benefit? Now, if the patient is not going to benefit, then why do we need that standard? The next question, is there an ISQA requirement or is there a regulatory requirement or so on? Sometimes some of them may have to be met. But till date, what I think is very important, what we have ensured, and as Dr. Pawan said, by consensus, is that the standards are centered around the patient and the other stakeholders around the patient. So that has been one single point, which I think even today, every standard has happened. So 2 important aspects to this. One is adaptability and another is dynamism. So Dr. Pawan talked about, when we said that the hospital standards were there, then there was a requirement for nursing homes. So then the small healthcare standard came. Later, the government wanted a private, for a PHCs. Under, Gyani sir was there at that time. He gave this, and I think within a few days, a PHC standard. So one is adaptability to the needs of the community. So that has been there even, that's one of the requirement of ISQA, even before that NABH was following. And second is dynamism. Maybe you would have seen some things on one standard, first and second edition different. And as we go ahead, we have also modified according to what, the practice has changed, what the practice is, what is the need of the hour. So I think in a nutshell, we have kept patient at the center. We have looked at adaptability as per as the needs of the community, and then also looked at dynamism for change, open for feedback. So that I think has been what NABH has practiced, and hopefully that the standard point of view, it has helped us.
Thank you so much. I think that's very well put. The adapting to the need of the community. And please believe us, we do not make money on these standards. All the new standards, whether it's dialysis or derma or for example, all the care home standards, they are very, very low price. For price of a dinner at such a swanky venue, we offer accreditation for 2 years, 3 years going forward. Coming to you, Gracy madam, you are a true embodiment of nursing empowerment. You command a large hospital. You have rich experience as an astute administrator in most big hospitals of the country. You have been part of committees. What do you have to say and tell us about how NABH has been instrumental in empowering the nursing fraternity?
Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I am the first nurse assessor, and I am the first principal assessor of nursing. First principal assessor also. nurse assessor, there was no problem. When I became the principal assessor, there was no problem for me, there was problem for Gyaniji. Many clinicians went to Gyaniji and they said, how can we work under a nurse when she became a principal assessor? But Gyaniji said, no, this is the practice and then we have to go ahead. And from there onwards, no stopping, no going behind, that was in my nature. My hospital, the first hospital accredited NABH, and all those associated hospitals also got accredited. And that time there was no consultant, there was no guidebook, there was no consultant, nobody to help us. It was all we reading one by one objective elements, analyzing what is the meaning between me as well as my boss. You may be knowing Dr. Professor Verma. And between he and tomorrow, today we'll do something and tomorrow we'll change. And then again next day we'll change, or that is a meeting. And that way we did. And when the assessment was there, the first time we got 120 NCs. I said, oh, 120 NCs, how to close it? Anyway, it was not a big problem because we know that we could not take any help from anyone. Nobody was knowing except those few people like all of you. Otherwise, no one else were there. We have done from our own size and then we did. And coming to the nursing, it was really an upliftment for nursing profession in India. I am sure that in this audience, there will be more than 40% will be from a nursing background. Some of you may be in the CEO position, some other position, but more than 30% will be in the nursing background. Yes or no? And that is all because of NABH. NABH actually have raised the standard or raised the value, and NABH have recognized the nursing fraternity. It's because of that all these nurses are over here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. It's because of assessors, committed support like you, and of hospitals on which the shoulder of which NABH today stands tall. Coming to you, Dr. Vibhu sir, you command a hospital, you are a principal assessor, but beyond that, you are a master trainer also. So what do you have to tell us about the training programs at NABH? You feel they make a difference?
So good afternoon. Training programs are very, very important, and I want to thank NABH and CAHO also, like what we have seen in last about maybe for 5 to 7 years. Training programs are very good, and I just want to share few of my experiences. When NABH was not there, I was working in a hospital, and we used to have, I was a ISO management representative. And at that time, you will not believe, we have our first assessment by ISO. Although ISO deals with more with documentation and it's a not a accreditation, but actually when ISO people came, and there were a lot of expired drugs in our hospital, and we became very, very depressed. How? Because nobody was following MOM on those days. So it was an eye-opener, and I want to thank NABH like how things transformed in the year 2005. And as an assessor, I also want to share my 2 experiences. When I became assessor, I went to one of the hospital in Gwalior, I will not name. At that time, 3rd edition was in progress, and we went to one of the hospital for their pre-assessment. Me and there was one other neurosurgeon with me. And management of that hospital was changed. And we were there for 2 days. You will not believe they did not have standard book of NABH 3rd edition. Incidentally, I was having 2 books, so I gave them the book and told them, please read it, and there might be more than 200 NCs. At the same time, I went to one of the hospital in Hyderabad, which was taken by a very big group, and I went for their pre-assessment, and fortunately after their final assessment and for surveillance. So I have seen that transition, how that hospital has evolved in this 3 level of accreditation. So that is the importance of NABH. And now coming to the trainings, like what we are doing nowadays, POI. So there are both methods, whether it is on-site or virtual. And we have seen, being a trainer, we have seen a lot of enthusiasm amongst hospital. And I will request CEO sir, that whosoever hospital applies for any accreditation, please make it compulsory that few of the people in that hospital must do POI or whatever program, whether it is for SSCO or whether it is for dialysis standard or anything. So these programs, and nowadays, especially in young generation, we find these programs are very, very interactive. Like even virtual session is for about 5-6 hours. So it's very, very interactive. We get very good questions in that. So that's very, very good part on the training, whether it is for POI session, clinical audits. I mean, we have seen the transformation. Earlier when we were going for assessment, hardly we were interacting with clinicians, or sometimes we have to only interact with quality department and come back. But now things are changing, and especially on 5th edition, so many new things. So there are very good sessions Sunday afternoon on clinical audits. So whenever, I mean, I have taken maybe more than 10, 12, but it's a good thing. All quality protocols, whether it is clinical pathway, whether it is clinical audit. So time is changing, and I'm sure with continued efforts of NABH and as well as CAHO, now knowledge is not a problem. Everything is on your fingertips. Earlier times, when we were medical student, we used to go to NML library, AIMS library. So those things, now it depends on the people how to take those trainings, and trainings are very, very important. And now Dr. Kochar has said that even now from the public, we have gone to digital way. We are taking feedback from the public through digital method. So I'm sure with all these things, hospitals as well as hospital employees, they will be benefited with a lot of programs.
Thank you, sir. I think it's the need of the hour to work together with bodies like CAHO to create common good training, capacity building, and take quality to the next level. Speaking about trainings and speaking about quality, we have with us Dr. Lallu Madam. I truly believe that if there's one thing which is responsible for quality at the grassroots level is the introduction of a new cadre. NABH is responsible for creation of this cadre of quality manager, quality professional, call it what. And the one organization which has been singularly responsible for bringing together everyone and as a bond, as a force is CAHO. And Secretary General CAHO, Dr. Lallu Madam, who has lost 12 kg in the past few months, by the way. She keeps telling us. Every time you offer her food, you say, no, I'm on a diet. So, Madam, what do you have to say about this movement, about how CAHO has actually helped NABH propagate?
Thank you very much, sir. I actually didn't expect this question. Let me tell you, when we started with this journey of training in CAHO, one thing we realized, I think it was Dr. Agarwal and me, when we were having a discussion, we said, we have army of assessors who go to hospitals, look at how systems, processes and outcomes are, and they come to us with non-compliances. But we have this group of quality managers who are not in a position to actually understand the intent of the standards. Let me tell you one example. The vaccines will have to be stored in the refrigerator. But when we go to hospitals, we see that they are stored on the door of the refrigerator. When we ask the pharmacist, why do you store on the door of the refrigerator? They say it is easy. It can be easily arranged. Why can't it be stored? Because the cold chain is defeated every time the door is open and closed. When we try to tell them the intent, this is why it cannot be stored on the door of the refrigerator, then they change. When we go and tell as assessors, this is a requirement, they don't understand. That's a major gap we noticed, that people on the ground, the quality managers, did not have the right intent towards implementation of the standards. Look-alike, sound-alike drugs. NABH standards said look-alike, sound-alike drugs will have to be stored separately. You know, in hospitals, they separate them, they store them in one cupboard, the look-alike and the sound-alike. English is a very funny language. They have done their job. They have stored it separately, but not the pairs apart. So the intent was not known. That is why we decided to start all these training programs to inculcate the right intent. Why do we do a particular thing in a particular manner? So that actually brought everybody together. So today I can proudly tell you that NABH, what NABH is doing, CAHO is complementing. We are in a position to create the army of quality managers who are able to understand the real intent and implement with the right intent in their hospitals. So they have become experts. And I'm very glad to tell you that most of these standards, they understand in depth. They go word by word and understand. So all our training programs are focused towards complementing the NABH standards, every intent of the NABH objective element. Whether it is prompts, clinical audit, you name it, we have programs for that. And I think we have brought people together at the grassroots level, particularly from the tier 1, 2, 3 cities, together speaking the same language and the same content.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you,
totally
sir.
agree. I totally agree. Let's have a round of applause for yourself. Dr. Puri sir, you wear many hats, sir. You are a top-notch ENT surgeon. You are advisor to most well-known brands of hospitals in the country. You are a cricket commentator par excellence. And the current, which I truly value, the hat which he wears is a mentor. I mean, there's no greater mentor than Dr. Puri sir. Can we have a round of applause for him? It's over to you to sum up, sir. Show us some light, guide us about where do you see the future of NABH, what we should do, and then we come one quick word about what makes NABH great. But over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you, CAHO, for inviting me, and thank you, NABH, for making me a part of this session. I think majority of the answers should have come from the man who is responsible for all this, who's sitting quietly there. The father of the quality movement, Dr. Girdhar Gyani. Please stand up and take a bow. He's the one who got me involved, so I think I've been involved for 17.5 years, soon after the standards were formed. First of all, I think what I'd like to say is that having been associated with it in different capacities, my first stint was to get, when the standards were formed, to have a look at it as to how the hospitals will implement. And at that time, one of the 5 hospitals that were the first to get accreditation was a group that I was involved with. And incidentally, Dr. Vijay Agarwal was the director of that hospital. So both of us went up to the stage along with Dr. Gyani to receive the NABH certificate from the President of India. So we go back a long time. My point is that I think when we talk of the future, we've got to realize 2 things. One is that any organization, like religion, if you don't keep changing, if you don't reinvent or re-engineer the product that you have, you will become redundant. Look at Xerox, look at Kodak. For that matter, even look at Nokia. Of course, they re-engineered. The point is that sometimes we are so consumed by the good work that we do, we tend to not look at the future. Whereas when we know that strategy is thinking today what will make it easier for you tomorrow. So I think what is happening now with NABH is that they're starting to think well ahead. And I think this augurs well. The problem that we face in this country are twofold. One is the universal problem of the rapidity of change that is affecting the healthcare environment. By the time you make standards, let's say for laparoscopic surgery, robotic surgery is being done. By the time you talk about oncology standards, immunotherapy has come. When you start talking of immunotherapy standards, somebody gets KRAS identified, and MD Anderson and Sloan Kettering start using antigen or T-cell stimulators. So the change in medicine, which I remember in an ISQA conference in Amsterdam, one of the speakers said that the biggest change that occurs, or the quickest change that occurs, used to be in atomic energy. Then it changed to healthcare, and he said that it takes 5 years and 10 months to change. Today, I think it takes less than a year. Look at the COVID. We identified COVID within weeks. We created a test within months, and we created a vaccine within a year. Unprecedented. I am 55 years after graduation in healthcare. I wouldn't have dreamt that it was possible for me to have this kind of a change occurring within that lifetime. So one is that any accrediting organization, be it NABH, be it ASQA, ISQA, it is struggling with the rapidity of change which is occurring in the healthcare environment. In India, we are also struggling with the volumes. We are 1.4 million population. Like a study that AHPI did recently and earlier FICCI and McKinsey had done, 85% of our hospitals are less than 50 beds, and 15% or 20% of our hospitals less than 10 beds. How do you percolate quality down to those hospitals? Now, one fundamental problem is that NABH is construed, and rightly, as the repository of quality. But we must not forget accreditation is a quality tool. It is not the entire spectrum of quality. So we've got to enhance the scope of NABH's accreditation program to not be confined to the vision that was enunciated 17 years ago. So, you know, there's an old saying, wisdom is the daughter of experience. Now you've got 18 years of experience. So unless and until we keep on changing, but we are rigid. So if we don't kind of make ourselves a little more flexible, we will be left behind. It happened to religions, and it is going to happen to organizations. Last but not the least, what I'd like to say is that perhaps ISO is working on standard 7101, which is exactly what India wants to do. That is to take quality down and percolate it. I don't know whether ISQA is involved with ISO. They've called them on the table or not. If not, they should. And whether ISQA and NABH should become partners of such an exercise. The other issue that I'd like to say is the future requires us to be collaborated. There's an old Jewish proverb, one hand washes the other, both hands wash the face. So organizations like ISQA, ASQA, CAHO, and other similar organizations and NABH must become the two hands to wash that grime of lack of quality in a population density of 1.4 billion people, the most populous nation in the world, and also soon to become the fourth largest economy. These are challenges, but these are options that we have to succeed. I feel that NABH over the years has shown it may not be a great organization because greatness required a certain amount of longevity. You don't make Sunil Gavaskar score 772 runs in his first essay against West Indies, but he was not labeled great. It's only when he had played 100 tests and nearly 100 tests and scored 10,000 runs, you call him great. So I think NABH is an organization that I would define as a young organization with its heart in the right place, intent and passion behind it, and it's on a good organization, but it has to become better. If we get content, we will fail. And we need to collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you so much, sir, for those words of wisdom. And you're very right. Actually, at the last week we had this meeting. Carsten sir is here at the ISQA Accreditation Council meeting at Dublin. The risk from ISO was as palpable as you've mentioned, and it's a big, not a threat, but they are totally different standards. They lack empathy, they lack patient safety. They are different. They are very mechanical standards, and we have to change, adapt. Quickly, sir, Dr. Vibhu, sir, one word. Are we great? When I don't mean to put words into your mouth. You don't have to be all goody-goody, but say one word which you truly believe that represents NABH.
Par excellence.
Gracy, madam.
NABH accreditation is the only way for any organization to excel in future.
12 words. Good.
See, you have created 1,500 quality professionals here. This would not have been there but for NABH.
Absolutely. Dr. Kapoo, sir.
I think the greatness about NABH is yet to achieve greatness.
Yet to achieve greatness. Very right. Miles to go before we sleep, as Madam said.
I am here because of NABH.
Yeah, one word, sir. To change, you already mentioned change, which we all agree that change has to happen. It is inevitable. We change or we perish.
No, I think, as I said, if you have the right intent and if you have the right passion, then you will be able to make your vision a reality. I believe NABH has the intent, it has the passion, it has become a brand, and it's likely to flourish.
Thank you, sir. So this is my take on this. Is it our values? We strive to adhere to these values. Credibility, responsiveness, transparency, and innovation. And these are not just words. We actually strive under a very robust board, a very robust strategic and a steering committee. They constantly prod us to adhere to these values by adapting that. Is it all the brands and the symbols we own, the Ayush mark, the geotagging, etc.? Is it the QCI umbrella? Is it all about our international certifications? Are we great because of that? For years we have been adhering to the ISQA concept. Is it the potpourri of standards, the adaptive community, the need which we adhere to, like dialysis? There are 2,000 people have approached us to create a standard. We did, yes. Is it the pattern of the standard which makes us very easy? The 10 chapter, 100 standards, for example, objective element, core commitment, achievement, excellence. Is it our trainings which make us good? Or is it our Quality Connect free initiatives where thousands log in? So does that make us better? Is it the chairman of QCI? I mean, we all know that Shri Ratan Tata ji was the first chairperson of QCI. Venu Nair, Srinivasan, R.A. Mashelkar, Amitabh Kant, the G20 Sherpa. So these have been people of such stature have been leading QCI. That's lots of credibility there. Is it the people who are the founding, the quality man, Dr. Gyani sir? Does that legacy makes us great? Or the current Dr. R.P. Singh? Or chairperson of NABH like Dr. Puri? Do they make us great? Dr. Rao, Dr. Verma, do they make us great? Do the ISQA Connect, the visits, the oversight which keeps us in check and makes us great? Please answer that, right? Is it a team, the secretariat team for past 18 years which has been very steadfastly, loyally doing that? All the ISQA Connect? Is it the political patronage? All ministers endorse that. Is it, see, I mean, all major representatives of the government stand by NABH. Does that make it great? The government machinery, the DGHS, lots of industry connect. Does that make NABH great? Does that legacy make us great? All the industry connects. Dr. Alex, the people, the warriors, the AHPI, Dr. Thupil sir, he is here in attendance. Does that make us great? Dr. Kanjrekar and the entire team, lots of conclave, that young Dr. Murali, that passion still continues. The hair may have grayed a little. Dr. Gracy madam, people like that, do they make us great? Or the conclaves which we have been holding and COVID has held us back by the thousands. Since 2009, the strategy meets, the conclave, that people like Dr. Kapoo sir, who have been constantly with us even when they were donning the uniform. Lots of conclaves, the recent conclave, does our assessor make us great? What makes us great is the question we've all been asking. The secretariat, the old secretariat, the visits of Dr. Agarwal sir 2 days back, or Dr. Graham, who was here with us to guide us, the entire team. Does that make us great? Do our campaigns make us great? The Quality of Connect umbrella, or so what really makes us great? What goes behind this mark of excellence? Well, I truly believe as I stand here that there's only one person which makes us great. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is you. All of you, the quality professionals, the grassroots workers, they are the strong foundation on which our standards and everything else is built upon. So please have a round of applause for yourself for this session. Thank you so much to all of you. Do we have extra 2 minutes for questions? But okay. So if we have some genuine questions, we can have that. Any abuses I can take later on. Yes, sir.
Am I audible? Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 2 parts to it. First of all, congratulations, and what makes NABH great is actually you built a workforce that understands quality, and the rating of hospitals moved beyond getting treated in a Leelavati, Nanavati, Hinduja and all of that, and having an NABH accreditation meant something. So I think that's kudos to that and the efforts that have been put behind it. Moving to the future, sir, and since the digital health standards were released just a couple of days back, 2 observations on that, sir. First, I think there is a great degree of non-alignment between the EHR standards that have been created and what is reflecting in the NABH digital health standards. The second bit is, if digital health standards start reading that if you have a digital signage or a digital display which shows the the names of all your doctors and names of specialties, then you start becoming a digitally mature organization. Then that becomes much more of a challenge, because we might have accredited organizations which don't have any impact on quality of patient care, meaningful use of data, and which are not forward looking at all. So as you rightly said in your introductions, that interoperability is important. How can you reduce human effort is important. How can you bring efficiencies is important. But unfortunately...
Thank you so much. I think these are wonderful comments. They are well taken and we can continue to discuss them. But since Dr. Puri wears another hat of a poet, sir, I know I'm exceeding myself. He has recently, last year, published a book, a very closely circulated book of couplets. So one of your favorites, which sums up the mood for all of us. Please.
I don't know how many people will understand Urdu.
They will attempt.
Well, these are just lines which I thought I could share because of the partnership that I hope will be long-lasting between NABH and CAHO. And that is that एक दूसरे की कहानी हम हैं. We are each other's stories. एक दूसरे की कहानी हम हैं. बीती हुई जिंदगानी हम हैं. आज जो झुर्रियों में दिख रही गुजरी हुई जवानी हम हैं. I'll just repeat, एक दूसरे की कहानी हम हैं, बीती हुई जिंदगानी हम हैं. आज जो झुर्रियों में दिख रही गुजरी हुई जवानी हम हैं. Let some other edition of CAHO, this may be recalled as a kind of a national anthem. We will grow old together. Thank you.